And we are back with 7732 interviews, and I do have the privilege of, your name is?
Matthew Coleman.
Matthew Coleman. Nice to meet you, Matthew Coleman. Cool dude. We're going to get this interview right now, and I just want, flow in it, everything like that, and you told me about entomology, right? And then, steer towards that. It's very interesting stuff, most definitely. So let's jump right in. So tell me about your childhood.
I don't want to say my childhood was like impact. No, that's a lie. Yeah, because I started with karate when I was a little kid. I want to say I did that from elementary all the way to like 6th, 7th grade maybe. But after that, I was really into like wrestling. My childhood, although my childhood was good, right? I was born. I had the luxury of being born in Haiti. And I was only there till I was 5, and then I came here, and I grew up from here all the way to now. So it's like, what's that? 12 years. My math sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Other than that, it wasn't bad. I still go back there like every year, or I try to at least. This year I didn't go back because I'm working here, because I want to umpire, because I want to chase that dream of being in the MLB one day. I'm gonna get there.
Oh, so you said umpire, like baseball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. What team?
No, it's not what team. I'll work for the Major League Baseball Association.
Oh, okay.
They'll put you in like an area. So let's say if you're in Miami, you'd basically be umpiring for the Marlins, but sometimes they'll send you to like Detroit for literally no reason.
But you've been doing that since a child?
No, I've been doing that since high school.
Since high school, okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Since as a child, I've wrestled quite a bit.
Okay.
Quite a bit. I made it to nationals 2 years in a row.
Okay.
I didn't get. That's lies. The first year I was there, I made it second year. I didn't get far because I sustained an ankle injury during one of my games, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna continue on. It doesn't make any sense. My coach was very respectful. He said, look, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want you to keep pushing yourself, because I know you've accomplished a lot more than anyone else. And I was like, thank you for that. So I didn't really. So I was like, thank you. But here I'll probably push off the brakes a little bit.
Okay.
I do still go back to like my middle school and high school every now and again just to talk to him, because he still does coach. He still does coach for Riviera and Southwest, and he will be like, hey, if you're ever in town, or if you ever have time, if you're free, you wanna come over here and talk to some of the kids, and they'll see me and they'll be like, you don't look like you've got that much of a punch in you. I'm like, well, I don't look like it, but when you wrestle someone that's 30 pounds, 40 pounds over you every day, you kind of you adapt, and you understand how to move your body.
You either adapt to it or you sadly don't, right? Okay, that's the whole thing. Okay, so but tell me about that transition between then wrestling and MLB. What was going on? What made you make that decision?
Well, wrestling, I knew I had a future in it, but it wasn't something that was driving me, because I was like, I do like doing wrestling, but after hours, after school, my mind would just it would wander from insects to music, then to sports, and then it'd kind of come back to wrestling. But wrestling wouldn't always be the first thing on my mind, or even the last thing on my mind, because I had met my friend Joseph I met him in high school. I met him immediately starting high school, and he was playing baseball at the time, and I didn't know that. And I was talking to him about like what's currently going on in my life. I was like, hey, bro, I was like, I want a job. Do you got something? Mm. And he said I play baseball, but there's the people that they're telling me, the local association, they're like, they need umpires. I don't know if you're interested in that. And I had no damn idea what it was. I told him, I was like, I don't know what that is. Sounds interesting. Let's go for it. And I want to say December of 2026. Oh, yeah, 2026. Yeah. All right. That's what we're in. Yeah. So December of 2016. I said 2016.
Okay. It hasn't yet got there yet. But hey, man, I like the future projections, man. Hey, bright future, most definitely. Talk to me about this. Okay, so this is Cobb County. So are you at the Battery? Is that where you're at, the Battery practicing, or? I'm at
East Cobb currently practicing.
East Cobb, okay.
I'm at East Cobb. They will. So I currently work for Perfect Game.
Okay.
And they'll send you everywhere. They'll send you from Aviation to East County to Etowah. Hell, even close to the Battery. Because are you ever at the Battery? No,
I know it's big, for the
haven't been.
Braves playing there and stuff like that. But
I haven't been there yet.
Okay.
I know we've had a few umpires that are like 10-minute walk from the Battery, and they don't umpire in the Battery, but they'll I think there's a school that's maybe 15 minutes away from it, and they'll send them there majority of the time. But they have us all over the place because Perfect Game is huge. It's global.
Okay.
It's a crazy organization.
Okay.
There's teams that want to compete, and they compete under Perfect Game. They pay all this money, and they show what they got.
Right.
They'll be. I know this past weekend or this past week was the 11U World Series. So a bunch of teams came over. I think it was 145, something like that.
Okay.
Just to compete to see who had it all. And for me, I didn't even know it was the World Series, but they had me working it. And my umpires that were telling me, they were like, "Hey, I found out from the umpire. He's like, hey, man, I did the 10U World Series last week." And I was like, 10U, so it's next week. He said, "Oh, it'll probably be the 11U World Series, and then it'll probably move up from that from the 12U." And I was like, "I'm doing a bunch of 11U this week." He's like, "Yeah, you probably are umpiring the World Series." So just know that's fun to know.
The World Series,
Yeah.
wow.
And it's not.
That's it
was a little.
That's a little big, right? Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's cool. That's cool.
No, it's definitely cool. I got to meet a lot of young players that are very passionate and emotional about the game. Like I met Miguel Cabrera's son, which is really cool to me. That kid's a force. I was like, you were built like a grown man right now. And I was like, it was shocking to see him that he's like 11. I was like, wow, these kids are really competing for something that they love. And, coaches are mad at us. And I'm like, hey, man, tell your kid to swing the bat. There's nothing I can do about it. If you see me calling and tell him to swing, I can't. Don't just have him look at it and then be mad at me.
Right.
I can't do anything about that. Other than that, it's a great experience. I mean, obviously there's some downsides because everybody's got their crazies out there, right? They don't like, as an umpire, you're always the bad guy. 100% of the time, 50% of the time, 40% of the time, 30% of the time. All you can do out there is go out there and call a game. That's all you can do at the end of the day. And if people get mad at you, they get mad at you. Sometimes people don't like the calls that you make, but I don't care because I want to make sure, by the end of the day, I go to bed with my integrity intact, that I was able to umpire and call a game that I knew was fair. If they didn't think it was fair, that's okay. I knew it was fair. I called what I called, and I stuck to my guns 100% of the time. And it's nothing you can really do about that.
Okay. So I'm not too familiar with baseball to be honest, but so the umpire is kind of like the ref too.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay. So they kind of referee and call.
Yeah.
Outs and strikes and things like. Okay. Awesome. And you definitely looks like you're enthusiastic. That's amazing. So you definitely enjoy it. But tell me. So you said it's good money. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty, especially when you're doing World Series, right? Things like that. Awesome.
Well, for Perfect Game here, they give us a fee, so it's $60 from 9U all the way to 12U, and then it's $70 from 13U to 18U. And you get that per game every day. So you could work. I know for me, last week I want to say I did about 23 games.
That's amazing.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, I hear you, man. Okay.
It's a lot. And this week I'm doing 21.
Okay.
21 games.
Awesome.
Because today I'm on call, and I want to say it's probably about 3 o'clock, so I'm no longer on call.
Okay.
But for being on call, you get like $210 just
for being on call, whether or not they call you. So that's definite money. So that's amazing. That's amazing. But it sounds like your heart is in it, which is even better, man. Okay, so let me do this. Let's shift. I do want to talk about the entomology, right? So explain to me what that is. Entomology is what you said. Okay, talk to me.
Entomology is the study of insects. Okay. Now, I understand people don't really know it because it's not common. To be frank, it's not common. The only other person I know in my life, I met two people. The head of umpires director for the MLB, she is an entomologist, and then my principal in high school was an entomologist. Those are the only two people I know. Outside of myself, that's all. That is it. Well, with entomology, you can go down two paths. So there's forensic entomology, and then there's agricultural entomology. My path is agriculture entomology, with then a shift, which I want to say is probably going to come within the next 2-3 years, because I need to get my master's in forensic studies and bodies and things like that. you have to have that, because you'll be dealing with, you know, decomposing bodies and things like that, and the beetles and the worms and the maggots, and you got to know what you're doing around a decaying body to make sure that first they know, you know, the real protocol. And hopefully, if you're in it for bugs, not a lot of, like, if you're in it for bugs, you don't really care. People already think bugs are gross. They hear entomology, they're like, that's cool, and then you tell them what it is, and they're like, ew, I don't want to. I don't want to be around a lot of bugs. But what I'm currently doing before I got up here is I was working on an osprey farm, and I was helping them develop a pesticide because they had like a ladybug infection, and I told them flat out, I said, I'm not here to kill the ladybugs. I don't want to do that. You've got a problem. I want to be able to locate them. I'll happily, you know, get them either a momentary stun or like paralyzed that'll last for about 2 minutes. You guys can gather them and then move them, but I'm not here to kill them. And they understood where I was coming from, and they were like, well, it's gonna take you. I told them it might take me a little bit longer, because pesticides, obviously, there's realistically like only one outcome of pesticides. Right. And I told them, hey, I'm not trying to kill them. And it was me and a team of, I want to say 7 or 8 people that were just constantly hunkered down, and it took us, I want to say, 3-4 months just to even get it in the works, to be able to get all the patents and things down that we needed. The funding from the government to be like, hey, we need, you know, some formaldehyde, this and that and the other, so we can actually try to have something going for them that if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we're just gonna move on. I think that's what science is about. You go fuck something up, and you fuck something up, and you're like, that didn't work.
That's a whole thing. That's okay. So entomology, the study of insects. It sounds like there's, you know, various fields and options for doing that. And you probably hate me, man, because I see a roach. I hit a roach. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's fine. I hate the roaches in here, the house roach. Okay. I bane my existence too. I can kill them.
But it looks like you bring your fervor for the care of that particular fauna into your job. So you wanted to relocate them instead of like exterminating them, and that option. That's okay. So do you find a lot of chances to do that, or typically it sounds like, you know, it's a government funded kind of thing where you go in with a client and either exterminate or relocate these insects? Are you finding more chances to relocate them, or are people just wanting to, you know, squash them?
Well, so Osprey Farm was my first ever real job, because I was a assistant for a good while in a lab while I was in college, and then came out of it. I was still an assistant because I wanted to understand, you know, the workings of getting patents and understanding how to talk to an actual government, and putting in the formulaic writing, the government speak, or, you know, the proper language to use for someone else, so they could understand that, okay, they're giving us a step-by-step plan. It may not have all the kinks and problems out of the plan yet, and we can see that, but there is a plan here, and they're going to give it to us, you know, every step of the way. They're going to have us be like, hey guys, we kind of messed this up, we kind of messed that up, we'd like to kind of go back and reevaluate what we've given you, and then come up with a different plan if that's okay with them. And most of the time, more power to it, man.
More power to it, man. Do your thing, man. What were you saying?
I didn't forget.
The government, you know, coming in, okay.
The government, you know, you talk to them, you send some letters, you send a representative, and usually the government's fine with giving out patents, some liens here and there, because the government, they're not going to can science, although that's what it seems like they're doing nowadays. But no one's going to can science. Science is too reliable, and there are too many people that have their hearts in it in the right place, and it gets overshadowed by, you know, just politics, unfortunately. For the most part, my field no one cares about insects all that much. So
hey man, I care about insects. Hey, there's one more person in the state who cares about insects today, man. So just take that with you, folks. Take that with you. Let me ask you this. So it's where the government is finding there's maybe an overpopulation, or is it more of a private thing where private companies are contacting and then you get sent out to then deal with this problem, you know?
So for me, private companies will contact some of us at the lab, and they'll come to us, because I wasn't working on the Osprey farm. They had contacted my lab, and they said, hey, do you have an entomologist? Because it's not super sought after, but when it's needed, it's very needed.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be like, hey, do you guys have an entomologist or two that we can take, use? And I get put on their salaried role, but I also get a little bit of back pay from my people when I have to leave. And I'm telling them, like, hey, they'll contact me like, hey, we're sending you here. This is what you got. This is what you get. They've got some patents in place for you. All you got to do is show up there and just start working on your process. I'm pretty sure they have already a place set up for you to do your business and do what you need. Like a lab, they'll have the lab, all the tech stuff that you might need. Or if you need something else, I'll just have to reach back out to the people I work for, and they'll be able to set something up. Or if they can't, they'll be like, hey, give us some time. We'll figure it out. But you might have to slow down on your process or your experiments for just a little bit until we can get it, and then we'll send it to you, and then you can continue. But the lab reports are something I take pride in. I usually send out a lab report when I was back home. I sent out a lab report maybe 3 times a week. If it was super big, maybe it was 4 times a week, because I knew I was doing a lot in one day, and I wanted to keep track of what I was doing. So I would take 2 days, write a lab report. Take 1 day if I did a lot in that day, or there were some really, really complicated steps and I didn't want to lose track. I would write a lab report that day, and then I'd take another 2 days, write a lab report. And then again, if it was too complicated or we were all just getting a little bit lost, I would take it upon myself and write another lab report and just be like, hey guys, this is where we are, this is where we're at. Let's not lose it. If you guys want to put it on the board or something, or everyone wants to print a copy, you can do that, take it with you. I don't care. It's just a lab report. It's something I like to do. Not everybody has the same, style and rhythm of what they do. Some people can write a lab report for just a week and remember that whole lab report. Some people can do it once a week, 2 times a week. It's up to the person, however they want to write their lab report and however they want to submit it. But for me, I will write it 3 times, maybe 4 times, and then I will only submit 2 of the other 2, because the other 2 I know is just like a mental note, because I wanted to remember where I'm at and I wanted to keep it going.
Okay.
Just have everything kind of ironed out.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Fun and interesting question. Marijuana is huge right now. You have the marijuana farms and things like that. Are you finding, particularly any bug? Is there a bug issue, insect issue with the marijuana stuff? Have you ever got sent out to a farm or anything like that?
I haven't got sent out for any of that yet. But I know where I live 10 minutes away, there's a very big patch of just marijuana. Right. That we let the city inspectors know that it was there, and they haven't done anything about it for 4 months. So I told the guy across, they haven't done anything about it. So if you want to have at it, go ahead. I don't really care, man.
Do you have you ever heard of any bugs, particular that attack the marijuana or cause an issue for the marijuana growth?
Not that I can think of. Okay. I just know it'd be, since it is naturally produced, obviously, by the earth, all I can say is when it grows, or when people take it to try and grow their own, things can happen in their lab that can mess it up. But from as far as I know, I got nothing.
Okay, and then we're gonna come to the close of this now. It was a great interview. I definitely thank you so much. One of the last questions I want to ask, so what are your goals and ambitions for that? You said forensic entomology is ultimately where you want to go, and things like that. Okay, and that's working with the cadavers, the corpses, with maggots and things like that, and that helps solve crimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what it does.
Okay.
But ultimately, that's what it does.
That's what it. Okay.
Which is why it takes you a good amount of time, because you have to understand the anatomy of the body. You got to understand insect you're working with. You got to understand how long that body might have been decomposing for, or where did it come from, because that also could be a state. Because if the body's usually typically in water, if nothing gets to a body, it can actually stay in its state for quite a while. Right. But obviously, when it comes to the body, if it's salt water,
that's a whole thing.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game, because you got fish down there, you've got your crabs, your all those little minute insects that do feast on very little particular things down at the bottom of the oceans and lakes, and then it becomes a whole different thing in itself. Okay. Can become a lot harder, but realistically, if you like to do it, you don't mind the challenge.
All right. All right, so you said Matthew Coleman?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. It was great meeting you, man. The last thing I ask, I go through things as well. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian. Are you faith-based? Are you Christian as well? Awesome. So God bless you, Matthew. Last thing I ask you pray over this whole thing. Pray for me as well. If we could take some time to do that, most definitely just hold your hand and go ahead and pray.
Oh, I'm praying. Oh,
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, don't feel nervous. Don't feel nervous. It can be short, nice, and simple. Just
Absolutely.
everything like that, most definitely.
Oh God, I haven't done anything today. I thank you for that because my body got beat up. Obviously, what is your name?
My name is Nick.
That is something I should have.
Okay, I go by Theta though, most definitely. So Theta is perfectly fine.
Thank you for this day for me and Theta. There are a lot of things going on in this world right now that we can't control, but you watch over us every single day, every single moment. And I couldn't be here without you. He couldn't be here without you. There's a bunch of others who couldn't be here without you. I just hope you can pray over them and keep themselves, even if they aren't a believer of you, even if they might know of you and they're not really there, they're not understanding your own goals and visions. They just know you, but not like we know you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We just pray that you keep them safe and keep their family safe and lift it up, and the heavens and protect everybody like that. Amen.
Amen. Nice one, Matthew. And that's it, man. God bless you, man.
God bless you too.
All right.